Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to a channel feature that I like and often let lapse. I know a lot of viewers like it and lament that I often let it lapse, and that's Last Week in BookTube, where I look back on roughly the last week of... I watch a lot of BookTube, 800 channels that I subscribe to. I watch a lot of it. I don't comment on as much as I wish I could, but I do watch a lot. And years and years ago, I started a little feature on this channel where I looked back on that week and pointed out some highlights, some stuff I wanted to make sure you didn't miss. Sort of a reviewer's inveterate instinct to review everything. But I've stressed many times when I made these videos, and I want to stress again, this is not meant to be comprehensive. There were plenty of BookTube videos I watched in the last week that I not only liked but loved that are not on this list. The list is not exhaustive. I don't want this to be a 4-hour video, especially since, among other things, I'm testing out new equipment. I'm using something new to film on, so I'm wondering about the audio, and I'm wondering about the visual quality. I'm also wondering that horrible feeling that you have when you try anything new, at least if you're technologically illiterate like I am, about whether or not you're going to get it to upload. Maybe it works just fine to make a video, but I can't get it anywhere. That would be very, very bad. Steve would throw a temper tantrum. A hissy fit. The hissy fit, however, would be drastically reduced in severity by the fact that although it's tedious to record everything all over again, I do have all the technology to do that. I have multiple redundancies. So if this doesn't work, I know I have plenty of technology that will. I can just do it all over again. But I'm hoping that it works. So we're going to give it a try with Last Week in BookTube for 30 August 2021. And the first question that I want to have is your opinion on format. Mainly for one big thing, which is, should this be Last Week in YouTube? Where I look at all of the YouTube that I watch, not just BookTube. I don't know if you'd be interested in that or not. I just thought I'd throw it out there, that's all. But first we'll start off with my own channel. Including a second warning. I've issued one stern warning already. I'll issue another about our subscriber count. Okay? The subscriber count is going up. And I have admonished you all very kindly, very gently. Me loves you all. But I've said over and over again, this is a 12-nay channel. Not a 12K channel, but a 12-nay channel. And we're halfway to 12K, so see what you can do about that. But also a couple of other things that happened on this channel in roughly the last week. I had guests, one in person and one on Zoom. Hannah from Hannah's Books came to Boston with her family and made time not only to meet me at the Brattle, but also to come over here to Hyde Cottage and share wine and calzones like I would like every single one of you to do. I would like every single one of you to do that. She came over, she shared wine and calzones, and met the Bean, and Frida bossed her around and insisted on attention, but then settled right down. We talked books. We made a couple of very long videos that a lot of you have said you liked. And it was a lot of fun. And it also is a little bit of an indication for me that if you want, I mean, there are plenty of people who could attest to this, but now there's one more. If you want attestation that you would enjoy coming over here and hanging out for an evening, you have only to ask Hannah. She enjoyed it. And she made a video. In addition to the video she made with me, she made a video of her own, on her own channel, about, for one of her Rambles videos, she made a video about coming to Boston. And it's absolutely delightful. Not just the parts with me, but all the parts of it. So I'll leave a link. Of course, I'll leave links to all of these things. And the other guest star was my old friend, Deb. We do a feature that we like to do here called Manatee Mondays. It doesn't often happen on a Monday, and it's been increasingly frustrating to do throughout the whole course of the spring and summer because Deb has been routinely going up to the wilds of Maine to a location where she has no electricity, no running water, no bear repellent, no Wi-Fi, no internet, no nothing. So that Manatee Mondays are absolutely impossible. But she's back in town for a while, so Manatee Mondays will continue, and that was a lot of fun. Those are a lot of fun. The only danger is the same danger that I ran into, ironically enough, with Hannah, which is just letting the thing go too long. Just forgetting that you're on camera and just nattering because it's so comfortable. So I wanted to put those out there. There are also some events that are coming up. We're on the doorstep of September, even though it's 95 degrees here in Boston with 91% humidity. Those of you who live in well, I guess nowhere anymore. There is no cool part of the world of this new planet. There is no part of the world that's cool. But maybe you don't know about humidity. about swamp level, tropic level humidity, 91% humidity. I've known people, including one worker at the old bookstore where I used to work, who was from Scotland and who had never experienced 91% humidity, much less having it day after day after day. And it so bewildered her. I mean, this was a tough, smart young woman. It so bewildered her that she left the country. So it really does make things much worse. It makes the heat much more inescapable. But even though we have early August weather, we are approaching September, and that means a flurry of new BookTube activity. I wanted to run down some of those things for you. For instance, on the Hungry Bookworms channel, I'll leave a link, Tudortember is beginning. An event for the month of September celebrating Tudor literature. Fiction, nonfiction, new, old, however you like it. It's a lot of fun. Of course, you already know, if you watch this channel, I'm a big fan of the Tudor era. And I literally never miss anything. So, of course, I'm on board. I think I missed Tudortember last year. I think I just didn't know that it existed. But now I do. And now you do, too. And there was also another event for September. Oh, right. Yes. Book Trek 2021, which is an event that I'm doing with a bunch of other great booktubers where we're reading Star Trek fiction for the rest of the year. In August, we did the original series, and we've wrapped it up with a great conversation. Vin at Revenant Reads is the organizer of the event, and he got me and Michael K. Vaughan on to talk about Star Trek with him. And it was a long talk, but it was so much fun. It was just so much fun. So I'll leave a link down below. And in September, we're barreling right on at Warp 9. We're going to Star Trek The Next Generation, which will be a very different dynamic than Star Trek The Original Series. I know Star Trek The Original Series from the beginning. I love it. It's my Star Trek. And The Next Generation very much is not, but it is sort of that quintessential DNA level Star Trek for a whole bunch of Star Trek fans. So I will be entering a totally different reading dynamic, and that's a lot of fun for me. So that's another event. Do I have any other events here? No. So we'll just move on to channels, and I'll try to keep this video 20 minutes or so that we're not, these things don't have to, not every video that I make has to be 40 minutes long. Especially since I'm not 100% sure of this recording setup. I don't know if 40 minutes will break the bank. So we'll go through things, not brusquely, but matter-of-factly. So there's a channel, it's now called Sven Rollick. It's a young guy whose reading taste could not be any different from my own. He's into all kinds of so-called sacred or revealed literature, Eastern literature, and very much into beautiful collector's editions. If you watch the back catalog of his channel, and I recommend it, he's always interesting, you will see him getting lots of titles for instance, from Easton Press, which is way too rich for my blood. Even if I wanted to afford the volumes, I know what they'd look like after a year. I wouldn't. He has beautiful wooden glass-doored bookcases behind him where he stores these volumes. I don't have anything like that. They'd be dog food in no time at all. It would be a waste of my money to buy these issues, even though I can envy them on his channel, and so can you when you watch. And there's another reason to watch. It wasn't so popular with someone else who was watching. He has dogs. Sven Rollick has dogs. And they're huge. Absolutely huge. He has huge dogs. In the video that I'm going to leave a link to, one of them actually, you can hear them plodding around in the background. It sounds like he has hail hitting the roof because they're so big. And at one point, one of them actually, you can see them passing behind his chair. But at one point, one of them comes up for attention. The dog looks like a Scottish deerhound. I might be wrong about that. It might be an Irish wolfhound. But it's this dog's head alone was as big as Frida. Her whole body, her whole head, everything. The head alone was her size. These are 150-pound dogs. It was just roaming around in his videos. So I thought I'd mention that as well as an extra inducement to go. Then Jack at the Rambling Raconteur rolled out the Dishonor roll on his channel. A fantastic video where he talks about a few books he's read that he hated from authors that he loves. And it was fascinating to listen to. Of course, Jack's reading tastes and mine hardly overlap at all. He's an ardent, eloquent exponent of a whole bunch of authors that I can't stand. I don't think the reverse is true, which is kind of odd. I think most of the authors that I really love, he also really loves. Maybe that just means he's a more adventurous reader than I am. But one way or another, he is expounding in this video a phenomenon that I bet a lot of you have felt, and I'd be interested to know if you have. But don't tell me. Tell him. Go to his video and leave comments on his video. If this has ever happened to you, that you come across a book by an author you love, and you just hate the book. If you watch his video, you'll see it's not a question. He's not really talking about a book that's less good than all the other books by this author that he loves. He's talking about a bad book. Books that he actually hates, that he'd hate if they were written by anybody. Fascinating discussion. I wonder if it happens to you, so I thought I'd leave it down there. Then we have a couple of reading vlogs. I always have a pang of longing when I see a reading vlog. Those of you who might be new to BookTube and our terminology of a reading vlog, or as Shawn the Book Maniac calls it, a vlog, is when a person sort of films a segment of their day on a Monday, the bookish segment of their day. Maybe they go to the bookstore, maybe they just want to talk about what reading they did that morning or whatever, and then they cut that and splice it with the reading events of the next day and the day after that and the day after that, and then they upload the whole thing as a vlog that takes you through the week. A reading vlog. I always have a pang of jealousy when I watch them because they're so much fun to watch, and I would love to do them. And then I'm putting this out there now, so a lot of you are going to email me and tell me the same thing, but my mind supplied right away the rejoinder to that, which is, A, my reading vlog would be very boring. I don't do anything else. I do almost nothing other than just sit on this couch and read with the bean. And when she does that all day long. She's right next to my shoulder when I'm reading. I read on the pillows right here, and she's right next to me, breathing in my ear. And every once in a while, her eyes will open, and the breathing will accelerate, and she will say, I feel like going for a walk. And my answer is an immediate yes. I stop what I'm doing and say, all right, off we go. But that would be very boring to splice over the course of 5 or 6 days. And the other objection that my mind would supply, and that maybe a lot of you will supply, is that I make 4 videos a day. I pretty much do vlog. I just don't edit. I just take you through it day by day. Maybe that counts. Most of the people I watch who do reading vlogs don't do daily videos. And certainly if they do, it's themed videos. It's sort of potted plant, pre-planned videos. I don't do anything like that. All of my videos are full of complaints about the weather or crazy anti-vaxxers or whatever happens to be on my mind at that minute. It's all very vloggish. So maybe I do vlogs anyway? I don't know one way or another, but I saw a couple. There are a bunch. I watched a bunch. Again, this is not meant to be comprehensive. If someone is not on this video, that does not mean I did not like their video. Okay? It just means that I didn't include it, that's all. But I want to mention 2 reading vlogs. One is from a channel that you've all heard me talk about a million times, Sarah at the Bookish Knitter. My sister from another mister, a booktuber who very much does things the way I do. She laughs and then snorts through her nose at her own jokes. she digresses at the drop of a hat and drops it herself. She's perfectly willing to go off on a tangent. She is another thing that we share in common that doesn't seem quite so obvious, because she reads pretty much only romance and wants to like the romances that she reads. And that has led some people who have emailed me, I have set you straight, I will set you straight again, that's led some people who've emailed me to say she's a cheerleader. Watch one of her videos and you will see. If a book takes a misstep, then she's as brutal as I am. I just make more of a fetish out of it, that's all. But that's another thing we share in common, is that we aren't pushovers for the books that we read and love. We aren't pushovers for them at all. If even one of her beloved Harlequin romances, Harlequin ought to hire her tomorrow for a substantial sum to be their face, their voice. That would be money well spent. They would watch their subscriptions and their online purchases go up 1,000,000-fold. But even her beloved Harlequin romances, if one of them makes a misstep, then she dismisses it in nice terms, but pretty conclusive terms. And she did a reading vlog. She does them every week, and they're fantastic. And also Ian, an Out of This World reader, who is he's even younger than I am. I mean, I'm a smoldering 28-year-old. I believe he's even younger than that. He's going to school. He's in college. And he mostly reads, it looks to me like he mostly reads YA and fantasy, although he does mix in sometimes some nonfiction. He just read Eric Larson's book about the Lusitania. I know he's read others. And he tried his first reading vlog. So you have a comparison of opposites here, because Sarah has done many reading vlogs. Ian, I think this is his first one, and it worked out really well. It turned out really well. So I thought I'd put them there as a sort of bookend of reading vlogs. Then what else have we got here? Yes, Shawn D. Standfast of the OGBG. So Shawn D. Standfast has come on my radar in the last week for a number of different reasons, one of which is that in the aforementioned Star Trek conversation that I had with Vin of Revenant Reads and Michael K. Vaughan, I windily made a point. I did a lot of talking in that conversation. You have to know that that's a peril you run when you invite me into such a conversation. But one of the points that I tossed off was, I said, well, Star Trek was the making and breaking of everyone in the show. Who else ever did anything that was noteworthy? And Shawn took issue with that, reminding me that using the term hogwash, and reminding me that Walter Koenig, who played Pavel Chekhov in Star Trek, also had a role that was critically and fan beloved in what was it, Babylon 5? It was a science fiction show that I never watched, and that's why I missed it. But he's entirely right. And a couple of the rest of you have emailed me and said, well, you know, there's Star Trek level fame, and then there's other kinds of things. George Takei has done an enormous amount of advocacy work. Nichelle Nichols, as Vin points out in that video, did an enormous amount of advocacy work. It's not like you just have to be on a starship. But Shawn also popped on my radar for other reasons. It is, of course, impermissible for any of you to disagree with me, and yet he did. but he's also on my radar for a couple of other things. One is that he's hosting an incredibly ambitious read-along of his own, of the Future History Project, Asimov's Future History Project, which is, you can Google it, it's a vast corpus of literature, and he's doing a read-along, and he's got a bunch of other people. It's a read-along you're not going to want to miss. I couldn't sign up to it myself. I just couldn't. It wasn't a question really of time commitment, although it's a huge amount of reading. It was really, to be honest, I don't like this world. I don't like this project as much as its fans do. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Unlike a lot of things I don't like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't. I knew immediately when he asked me that the enthusiasm just wouldn't be there. I'd be doing it out of affection for him and some of his co-hosts, two of whom are Mark Richardson of Richardson Reads and Jason Harrigan. You'd think that'd be an event that I would pay to be in, but it doesn't do it for me. The material doesn't do it for me in the same way that it does for everybody else, but it might do it for you, and you're certainly not going to get a better, more knowledgeable introduction to the extended world of Future History Project than you will in this series. So I'll leave a link to Shawn's announcement video, and Shawn also had another video on his channel. I know it's a rare double dip here, but when you're good, you're good. And he made a video that you've just got to see on bookseller, what he's calling mistakes for online booksellers. Shawn first came on my radar, actually, more than a year ago, when he started talking about the perils of ordering books from sites like eBay. Not just mistakes, but fraud, that people would intentionally crop the photo of what they're selling to hide an imperfection and then not mention the imperfection in their description. Or they would show you the wrong thing, or they would send you the wrong thing. And Shawn does a lot of this kind of shopping. I get the impression that he did a lot of this kind of shopping even before he was afflicted not only with cardiac troubles, but with first COVID and then long COVID. So it's really kind of a miracle that he's around to make these great videos. But he did a video. What did he call it? I don't know if I have the online bookseller mistakes. I'll leave a link to it. It's some of what I imagine is a whole book's worth of misadventures that he has had shopping for books online. I don't think it's Shawn's intent in this video to scare the rest of you off shopping for books online, but some of these stories are bound to do it. Some of them are just hilarious. I'm glad he has a bit of a sense of humor about it, because some of them are just nightmares of horrific customer service. And you know, after I became aware of that whole world of commerce on his channel, I started doing a little shopping of my own on eBay, and he's entirely right. You have to have your wits about you every second. It makes me completely sympathetic with a lot of you who have the internet, you have a computer, you have the online funds, but you won't do it. You won't shop for books online. Mark Richardson is very much of that mind frame. It's not that he can't go in with his guard up and, you know, read the fine print. It's that he doesn't want to. And why would you? It's such a seedy thing that it exists at all. That this kind of fraud is possible at all. It's such a headache. as I've said on this channel, it's largely based on the seller's presumption that you will not go through the bother of returning the book. If they send you the wrong thing, knowingly send you the wrong thing. I've had some sellers intentionally send me something they knew was not what they had told me it was. So I tried that experiment, largely inspired by Shawn Standfast's stories last year about shopping online, and then I did it for a while and I just stopped. I have the Brattle Bookshop. Now, a lot of you don't. A lot of you don't have access to that, or in Shawn's case, maybe not everyday physical capability to go, walking around to bookstores. Or in Jason's case, you might be in the world's longest and most unforgiving lockdown, one way or another. The option might not be yours. You might have to shop online. I'm not in that position. I've got 2 really good bookish thrift stores just up on what the Brits would call my high street. And I've got the Brattle Bookshop in downtown Boston. So I don't have to do it. I tried it for a while, and I just thought, no, I won't. I'm not discouraging the rest of you. Quite a few of you have made a little side cottage hobby out of sending me stuff that you buy online. I don't encourage that. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't have your fun. It's just, watch this video by Shawn. Even if you keep shopping for books online, it's still going to crack you up. And there was another video that I wanted to mention that sort of dovetails at the beginning with a little bit of that whole worry about shopping for books online or accumulating stuff because you're in lockdown or out of boredom or whatever. Alex, at What Page Are You On? Terrific BookTube channel. Again, no agreement with Steve. Almost no agreement with Steve. It's kind of an irony stalking through this last week in BookTube, because a lot of the people that are in the Future History Project on Shawn's channel agree with me in 99% of their reading. Shawn and I agree in 99% of our reading. I may have omitted a chapter from Walter Koenig's theatrical career, but I think you'd think that I'd be all in on that, but I like a lot of channels that don't agree with me on anything. We're going to be getting to some of them a little later on in this same video. Alex and I agree on almost nothing. He basically wants to be a Sally Rooney character, but he's a really perceptive reader. And in a recent video of his, he starts off by saying that he sort of looked around his place and saw his books and noticed that a lot of times they're just sitting there. And it spurred him to do a lot of borrowing from his library. Almost the whole video that I'm going to link to, he's discussing books that he borrowed from his library. And that sort of dovetails a little bit with the fear of buying things online. Why go to the bother and the rigmarole when you can just take things from your library? COVID makes it a little more difficult, but not impossible. Not anymore. Not impossible to do. It was a fascinating video about a whole bunch of crappy books, but it also made me curious. Not only, Jack's video made me curious about what do you have, a book you hate by an author you love, but Alex's video made me curious about you and your library usage. Now that 2021 is heading towards its close, are you using your library a lot more instead of, paradoxically, a lot less? Is your library still open for any kind of business? Did COVID, now that you have a little bit of distance to look back at its effect on you, even though that effect is ongoing, in this country it's certainly ongoing, but plenty of other countries are experiencing resurgences. Now that you have a little bit of distance so that you kind of know the pattern of this thing, you know it's not the end of the world. Although it can come close for some people. It came close for Shawn. But now that you know, you can look at it a little, how has it affected your library usage? I mentioned on this channel that right before COVID, I had made a firm decision in my own mind to start using the Boston Public Library enormously. Because my routine, 3 times a week, took me right to the doorstep of the Boston Public Library in Copley Square. I thought, just go and make full use of the place. Even look at the catalogs online. Deb has tried to walk me through how to do that a million times. I just would. I like to go and look at the shelves. You can't do that anymore. But I had come to that decision right before COVID, and then COVID shut everything down. And it hasn't regrown. I haven't had that decision again. I don't know what it would be like to do. I'd be curious to know about you. But anyway, what else have we got here? Just a few more things, and then we'll be done. Oh, right. Yes. Source of immense personal pleasure for me. I thought I would make sure to leave the links in case 1,000 of you want to go and look at what I'm talking about. Some of you may remember a BookTube channel called Barbells and Books. I loved it. Got to know the proprietor of the channel. Spirited, totally unpretentious, totally direct conversation about books and reading. Barbells and Books has changed. It revived just long enough for its proprietor to announce her new channel, Emma, etc. Could not be happier about this. Could not be happier to see happiness on the screen the way I saw it in her announcement video. I want you to watch that announcement video, and then ideally, since it's not often we get an old booktuber back, ideally it would be great if you watch that announcement video and then go to Emma's channel and subscribe. I'm sure that she would appreciate that, and who knows what bookish adventures are in the future. I will leave links to both to make it easy for you, but I could not be happier. I could not be happier than I was to see that. But we can surely find things that don't make me happy, right? Yes, in fact, let's end on a testy note, shall we? Because it isn't just Shawn in the comment section of that Star Trek video picking fights with me. You can pick a fight with Steve anyway in a million different ways. All you have to do is say something that I don't agree with. And when it comes to saying things I don't agree with, there's hardly a more reigning champ than Noah. Everyone who reads it must converse. A fantastic BookTube channel, and also a fantastic weekly live session. If you haven't tried it, you should try his live show on Friday nights. They are a thing to behold. They are pure fun. Just a pure distillation of what we always talk about, the community here on BookTube. I often go just to rabble-rouse. Noah and I, as he put it in one live stream, have an understanding. He's in Georgia, first of all, and I am a Georgia books editor. So he's, in a way, a constituent of mine. But we have an understanding. in that we are going to argue for the rest of our natural lives. Noah is a seeker. He is wide open to philosophy and spirituality and all sorts of other grade A premium quality flapdoodle. He has a vast knowledge of Eastern spirituality and Eastern spiritual texts. Really kind of impressive when he starts to talk about it. And the only thing, the slim shield that protects him from the full, unvarnished wrath of Steve is that every once in a while he will turn away from gassing on about whatever flapdoodle is impressing him today to talk about something really, really good. I don't know how to pin this kid's reading taste down. Once I have that secret, I can destroy him. But I can't do it yet. Because every once in a while, he will be talking about some Dharma, Parva, whatever, and then he'll swing around to talking about somebody who's really, really good. Or he'll be wasting his time with the latest exorbitant dude bro, and then he'll turn to somebody who's terrific. Case in point, the video I'm going to link to down below will conclude with this. He did a video about Borges, the great Borges, a writer he loves as much as I do. Curse him. And Borges also, like Noah, had a weakness for quasi-philosophical flapdoodle and would often talk about it or write about it, and that's all it takes for future generations to think there must be something to it. There isn't anything to it. Nevertheless, Noah did a great video just recently, and he gets the honor spot for the parting shot here. He did a video about Borges on Buddhism. And it gave Noah the occasion to talk about Buddhism himself. That is an amazing experience. You should not miss that. You should not miss this particular booktuber talking about Buddhism. And I didn't miss it. I loved it. It's still flapdoodle. Complete flapdoodle. Buddhism itself, absolute nonsense. Right down to its root and branch, right down to its DNA. Buddhism talks about there is no self. In the same breath as Buddhism talks about past lives and reincarnation. What's being reincarnated? The self. You're not a total stranger. There's a thread. There's a through line. There's a continuity. Buddhism is more obsessed with self than any other religion. And yet it happily will come out with airy fripperies like there is no self. One should not, what did Noah say in the video? One should not say, I think. One should say, it is thought. Just like one doesn't say, I rain. They say, it is raining. No, there's an I. There's an I all over Buddhism. It's just ridiculous. The whole of it is ridiculous, and Noah knows that we lock horns on this subject. If there is dharma, if there is karma, if there is reincarnation, if there are past lives, then you should be able to, say it with me now, show it to me. And you can't show it to me any more than you can show me nirvana or heaven or Valhalla. You can't show me any of it. You can't prove it in any way. You can't demonstrate it. The only people you will find who will nod in agreement with you are people who've already decided these fantasies exist. You won't ever be able to show those fantasies to somebody who's never heard of them before and convince them of any of it, because there's no proof for any of it, which means none of it exists. None of it exists. And the video, I loved it, but it drives me crazy. When you start to talk offhandedly about past lives, what are you talking about? You're talking about future lives as well. The concepts go hand in hand. And if you think this life is just a brief spring break, a rowdy kind of toga party on the way to your next life, you won't appreciate this life the way you should. Obviously, Buddhism is front and center in encouraging people not to appreciate this life the way it is. What does Noah say in this video? Passion is the enemy. That is absolutely wrong. That is totally wrong. Passion is the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters. You are here to care because you're not going anywhere else. This is it. This is all. So I animadvert. I get some pieces of flapdoodle irritate me more than others. You want to believe there's a giant monster in Loch Ness? Patently false. You're saying there's a 30-foot monster in Loch Ness, a breeding population of them. They're air breathers. So you're having 6 4-foot-long heads break the surface to take a deep, long, audible breath every 20 minutes, every day, for the last 6 million years. No one has photos of it. No one has video of it. You want to believe that? That's fine with me. It's no skin off my nose. It doesn't break my arm or pick my pocket. But if you want to believe that you are one little bead on a rosary of a life that goes on forever and always has, you are going to value this life. You're going to make decisions in this life that you're going to regret before you leave this life. So of course that flapdoodle bothers me more. Someday, Noah and I will have this conversation together on camera, and may the best seeker win. His beard is better than mine, but I had to link to the video because you're going to love it. You're absolutely going to love it. And my Steve rant notwithstanding, in this video, you're going to love listening to Noah talk about Buddhism. He gets it. He's one of the few people I've ever heard talk about that particular kind of flapdoodle that actually makes it sound coherent and interesting. I wish that he would write a book about a Georgian who explores Buddhism. That would be a fantastic book. I bet it would sell. And also, while I'm on the subject, before I wrap up, I should say Borges on Buddhism is really good too. Borges never wrote anything bad. He's a terrific, terrific author. Which means it would make my life a whole lot easier if Noah either hadn't heard of him or didn't like him. Instead, Noah's heard of him and loves him. He's going to give me gray hairs. But anyway, that is your last week in BookTube. Sorry, they won't all end on a rabble-rousing note. Although, if it's any consolation to you, if you're just starting this video, you've never seen me before, never watched BookTube before, you should know somewhere in Georgia, Noah is laughing his ass off right now. He does not feel attacked, nor do any of these people, I hope. Because I bark, but I don't bite. So that is last week in BookTube. We're ending with Buddhism. Good Lord.